Money, money, money.
Morning LPI.
We're back here at SSL Premiere. I hope you enjoyed that. 10 questions, 10 answers with Solar. He's definitely one of the best, if not the best, Korean player at English. So definitely a special episode we got to see there.
Yep, he is quite talented. You and I actually got to hang out with him before BlizzCon and talk to him last year, and definitely incredible English. He is confident that he is going to win this tournament. He's already excelled so far in this league, would like to win, make sure he gets a better spot going into playoffs today. Obviously, you know, he can't get first place, Innovation's already secured that, so wants to get second if possible so that he skips the first round of playoffs, and aLive is his opponent here. So again, this matters more for Solar than it does for aLive in terms of top tier placement, but it does still matter a lot for aLive's placement as to which where he will end up at this, because aLive, if he wins because of Maru's loss, it's possible, although there are 10 players and I don't know the exact chances.
If he gets a 2-0, he secures 5th place 100%.
Okay, so if he gets a 2-0, he will be in Premier next season. Yeah,
100%. He doesn't go to playoffs, he doesn't go to Fastlane, so he just sticks in it. That's what 5th place is for SSL Premier. And because both Maru and Patience lost, obviously that would be the case, because Dark is one indicator point behind him. So even if Dark also got the 2-0, Dark would at best get 6th. That is, if aLive gets the 2-0. It's going to be a really hard match here up against Solar.
Yep, and our maps are going to be Newkirk, Abyssal Reef, and Overgrowth, 3 2-player maps. Let's go into game number 1 on Newkirk.
Solar, 경민수, aLive, 한희석.
Fly better fly, Jin Air. Here we go. The game is going to start on Newkirk, and it's Solar down in the bottom right, the purple Zerg.
And his opponent to the bottom left in blue is aLive, the Terran. Very stylish shirt he's bringing today. So here we go. Again, this match matters for both players, but I feel like for aLive, he really wants to secure his spot in Premier. Doesn't want to go through Fastlane because there's going to be a lot of really tough opponents in there, and he could find himself relegated if he gets a bad group. So that's always a scary thought, you know. End up in a group with Hero, TY, maybe you're not in Premier like next season, despite his really increased awesome performances in Legacy of the Void, his GSL Super Tournament run where he made it to the finals and has done decently well here in Premier, but if he wins this series 2-0, he'll just get that safe spot.
Yeah.
In 5th.
For Fastlane, actually, out of Challenge, the first place player goes directly into Premier, and the 2nd and 3rd place players do Fastlane round 1, and the 4th place player does Fastlane round 2. For you guys who aren't familiar, Fastlane, it's better to do more rounds because you get more chances. Because the players that lose on Fastlane round 1, they get to go to Fastlane round 2, or they have to go to Fastlane round 2, rather, to get another chance. If you win one day of Fastlane, you go immediately into Premier. So looking at Challenge, the top 4 players are all really strong. You got TY, you have Hero, you have Beyond, and then you got Classic, who's currently in 4th place, I believe, and could even get higher than that. So all 4 of those players are really hard. So everyone wants to not be in Fastlane and not have to face off against those guys, because there's a very high chance that those 4 actually make it up, and the 4 players from Premier don't actually make it up. So
yeah,
an incredibly important match here for aLive, especially because Dark is facing off against Zest, so you can kind of expect a 2-0 based on current form. So aLive has to get the 2-0 in order to actually go up into 5th place. If he does get the 2-1, it would come down to head-to-head from him versus Dark, if Dark does get the 2-0. And let me just check that right now and see how aLive did. aLive actually won. So I guess in that case, aLive just has to win. In fact, he doesn't need the 2-0.
That's right, because of direct comparison.
Yeah.
That's actually good to know. We normally have a writer who tells us all these secrets. This is actually pretty cute.
All the secrets of SSL
all the secrets of like all the scenarios, but today the scenarios were so complicated initially that we weren't actually told. That's why we're kind of on the fly for this one a bit today. But anyways, we have the info for you now. So, third CC actually going to come over very quickly. Unscouted by Solar, who actually doesn't commit to Overlord speed either. Wall will be tight here. He committed to a lot of lings, 6 in total. So this is actually really annoying for aLive, who doesn't have anything to protect this mill. It's holding 30 minerals, actually. That's quite significant. It's the same as basically a whole Zergling right there in his hands.
Finally, the Reaper comes back and defends against this. Looks like it was somewhere out on the map. Actually, a lot of lost mining time. And a giant crash fills the studio as a bunch of chairs fall on the second floor. Everybody's okay. Looks like
Stats fans up there were running over to give him a hug or something and knocked a bunch of chairs over, but that's terrible of us. But don't worry, viewers at home, everyone's safe, Stats and fangirls included. So
you can also hug Stats rather if you come to the studio.
That's right.
I would ask him first. You know, don't just run up to him and hug him. Might get scared.
Yeah, I would definitely ask. I mean, thing is, Stats is a friendly player, but you always ask first. Same with like a dog, you know. Stats like a friendly dog. You should still ask first before you pet a dog when you see its owner, but
yeah, that's true.
Because if Stats gets scared and run away, maybe he doesn't like you, and then
always ask the pro gamer's owner whether or not it's a friendly pro gamer before going up to it and pet it. Good advice, Wolf. I like it.
Yeah, but do come down to the studio, check it out. So, 2 Evo chambers coming up for Solar, going into this upgrade-heavy style. We saw already from Yell the 1 upgrade coming out early in the matchup, but it's going to be double here for Solar, who was able to identify with sacrificing that Overlord that's a super eco build coming out for aLive, so he knows there's less pressure to deal with. Even cleans up this Hellion. That's a big plus for him. And will just kind of drone heavily here and get double upgrades because he's not afraid of anything. He can have a pretty incredible creep spread too, especially with that Hellion kill. Much less pressure to deal with. And in fact has those lings still on the map. Just the 1 upgrade for now. Okay, I was like...
He's waiting on that gas because he only had 1 gas for a really long time. Just trying to squeeze out as many drones as possible, as many buildings as possible, so... But yeah, it does eventually go into that 1-1. It's going to be about the same time. Looks like Carapace will finish first out of all 4 upgrades for both players, but good to be on the same timing as the turret.
Stem completes, and there's not a whole lot he could do with it right now, just because this doesn't have a large enough army, doesn't have the medevacs yet, but he will be moving across soon. Hellion actually just going to go in for a scout, it looks like. Or he's like really, I guess, trying to get deep in and do some harassment here. I think the idea is to scout the lair to see if there's a Spire coming up. It's not completed yet. Now, he does have Stim, and this bio army is large enough now with the 2 medevacs coming out to push. He couldn't do it without the medevacs, but now that he has them, he's going to come up here and hit the main base. He is actually going to miss the Overlords here for the beginning part of this, so it's going to be very late notice for Solar.
Yeah, he actually came in at the exact right angle. Good read on where those Overlords would be, and once you unload 15 of these Marines, you can always get a really good trade at this point in the game. Look at this. Only Roach is just streaming in 1 by 1. aLive very comfortably trading, 1 by 1, taking out Roach after Roach. Will eventually pick up and get out of here. Maybe stayed a little bit too long, but still not a bad trade.
Well, Solar's favorite unit is the Queen, and it was definitely the defensive Queen is talking about. His 10 questions, 10 answers that bop that medevac out of the sky. As 2 more medevacs are headed over now to the 3rd base. He got the melee attack upgrade, but is making roaches, so that melee attack upgrade is not going to be very useful here. The +1 armor is finished. This is another Queen. aLive is kind of just outmaneuvering him. This drop will go down, but he's doing so much damage. He's killing several more drones here. He has that 3rd base up for free, no pressure on him. Actually finds the Spire, looks for the target, won't get it, and backs off. But curious he would have this Roach composition with just the +1 attack for Lings. It looks like he wants to commit further to it, right? I mean, he's getting the Roach speed. Actually started very briefly out of the burrow. Didn't finish, I believe, right? You just checked that?
Yep. No burrow.
So that's actually really significant. The Roaches don't have the attack upgrade because we talk about this all the time, but Marines just get out-healed. The Roach's damage on the Marines gets out-healed by the medevacs oftentimes because they attack so slowly, so having that extra damage is so important to burst them down. This is a horrible exchange as well for Solar. Loses several more queens, all of these drones. And this is just damage after damage coming out.
Efficiency there on that trade. He loses like 1 Marine, gets so many drones, 3 queens. This is crazy damage out of this 1 drop here from aLive.
Very late pull on the drones. 14 drones in total. And only just now do his Mutalisk come out. And the one thing that he does still have a decent amount of is creep spread, because the drops have mostly been hitting the drone lines, not being like scanning and pushing the creep back. So you can see the creep is actually still spread very well, which is very important for the follow-up push that's going to occur once 2-2 hits. He wants to just knock that 4th base off the map because it's such a powerful amount of bio coming across the map. The creep is going to buy so much time. He doesn't have Baneling speed yet. He committed the Mutalisk. He only has 5. He may just die here.
He's remade so many drones. You know, I feel like he's been so greedy. And when you go 3rd base to 3rd base on this map, it's really small. It's a really small rush distance. You know, you can't just get away with that easy 4th base take for Solar on a map like this. That's an incredibly strong Terran army, and it doesn't look like there's that many units.
There are 12 Banelings and 17 Zerlings. The Roaches here that he has just feel negligible because they're not upgraded.
That base is gone.
That is going to go down.
He clicked it.
Well, he will eventually come back and get it, no doubt. Just make sure he keeps his army alive. It looks like he tried to target the Spire down over here with no success, but look at this. This is just too efficient here. It does get the last tank. That's actually pretty nice for Solar. Well, this base is at like 1/5 health. You guys don't have health bars on, of course, on your observing. You're watching at home, but I can see it.
That hatchery.
It's so low.
He's just gonna kill the army. It's gonna be it. I mean, he just did way too much damage with the drop. Solar getting a little bit too greedy, and aLive really looking to push the issue now going into the main.
I actually kind of respect this choice not to kill the hatchery. I want to make sure not a single bit of DPS wasted. GG.
Well, he said G and then GG. But you
don't worry,
see,
this is not Casper Jam. It'll be fine.
His hands would be cut off by now if that were the case. But aLive taking the first game, and Solar, you know, even in his interview, he's like, "I'm going to win SSL Premier." Those are very strong words. An incredibly confident opponent that aLive is facing, but aLive just sweeps the floor with him. Those drops did so much damage.
Just so cost efficient with the trades. Solar was caught off guard. He was too greedy, and it was just so peculiar to me that he would skip the Baneling Nest, use Roaches, and then not upgrade them. So we had this large amount of Roaches that were slow and immobile to help defend this run to the back of the 3rd base to the main base, 3rd base, main base, hit the 4th base as well. And you know, he lost so many queens. The queens are also a great tool when you don't have a Baneling Nest to defend attacks like this, but he didn't have very many of them because they were constantly being sniped. The efficiency with those drops because of the Roaches was just too high. We're going to go into set number 2, though, guys, on Abyssal Reef to see if aLive can have the surprise upset 2-0 here and secure his spot in Premier for Season 2. Let's jump into game number 2.
Here we go. Game number 2, aLive versus Solar. And up here in the top left, I said their names earlier, but it is Solar from Splice. Needs to win 2 in a row. Secure that spot in second.
And his opponent down here, it is aLive. A very, very great game number 1 out of him.
Yeah.
Just non-stop aggression. Off of the very greedy 3CC build that he did as well. Solar, again, I'm still just very perplexed by his choice of Roach tech there. Because if you also, the Roaches are immobile, right? So if you split them into, say, your 3rd base or your 4th base and your main base, then aLive will just kill them with his army. The Roaches kind of all have to be together. So do the Lings if there are no Banelings, and if there are Banelings still, you need to have the majority of them together, but Banelings and Lings hyper fast, very quick, can be mobile between the bases. The Roaches not as much. And the Mutas came out very late, and even the commitment of gas to the Mutas meant he had less Banelings. There were a few things I feel like Solar did that were unusual, but I do want to give full credit to aLive to identify the weak points, identify the holes in Solar's defense to break through, find that damage.
Yeah, going roaches on 4 bases on a map like that where you can be dropped at so many different angles, definitely hard to pull off. I think the greed was definitely part of it too, where he lost a bunch of drones and then kind of stubbornly remade like 20 more. I'm like, well, you got to protect that 4th base too. You need to have a lot of banelings with speed to hold that off, and even try to go for, have enough lings to go for a surround on the tanks that aLive was making. But this base, or rather this map, is going to be a lot different. I think it's going to be a lot easier to hold the 3rd base and even the 4th base for the Zerg player. And I want to see what kind of build aLive will do too. Does he want to hit a 2-base timing this time? Does he want to add another kind of greedy early 3rd CC and go into that same kind of play? It worked very well on Newkirk Precinct, but he might want to change up the build here for the different map.
I think that's the idea. By the way, this is an alteration of the build. He made several lings. He's coming in a lot faster with them here this time. The double hatch coming up behind this. So he's actually going to look to force a cancel on this CC. It's already stopped the building of it, but no lings at home is kind of an issue here against this Reaper. aLive did scout earlier with the SCV to confirm the 3rd base. There's only 1 queen out right now. It's not here because he made the lings faster instead. He gets the cancel though, so aLive wants to get a lot more damage done with this Reaper. And because it goes down now, he's not going to get anything else. So very little damage done in comparison to his CC being canceled, and also a late remake here in the main base.
Yeah. Very wonky build. You don't see something like this very often. It's very Solar-esque. He definitely likes to be a bit tricky early game with his Zerglings. He took a very wide route around the top side of the map with his very early Zerglings and was able to get that damage done. And as I mentioned before, a lot on the line for this match. aLive, if he does win, he secures his spot here in Season 1 Premier. Will not make it into playoffs, but make sure that he doesn't have to play fast lane or anything like that. So definitely wants the win. Whereas Solar, if he takes the win, then he will actually be in 2nd place confirmed. If he loses, then he goes down to 3rd place. Yeah. So having to play 1 less match is definitely very good for Solo. So both these guys fighting really hard for the what they need here in this tournament.
If we kind of oversimplify it, like make it very basic, it's almost like this for Solar is like winning a playoff round against an easier opponent than he would have faced in the playoffs. You know, like this is basically like him winning his first playoff round against an easier opponent than what he will face
against aLive instead of stats.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, this is definitely what Solar wants to avoid. He may face stats if stats wins anyways, but anyway, it's just the extra life kind of aspect of it, skipping that match. So, Stim on the way, of course, is going to be a normal transition for aLive. He just has not the booming economy he would have liked because of the late CC, the late mules. Just now making the orbital now. Had to float it from his main base. And it was decently far along when it was canceled, so just very frustrating. With the SCV scout at the 3rd base for aLive, just going back to the very early part of this game, you saw the 3rd base. I thought we might be seeing just the Reaper staying at home to defend, but he set that 2 for harass, and that's what cost him his CC.
Look at where we're at in this game. With that denial on the CC, aLive is way far behind in the supply. He needs to do damage with the stim timing with the 15 Marines hitting the 3rd. Already, Solar has 6 Queens and 32 Lings. So he's going Ling Queen to try to defend this. He has 14 more on the way. And I think he should be fine. Everything's in position. aLive's not going for a different angle. Solar will be very, very ready to hold this off. And so this follow-up here from aLive shouldn't really do too much.
Already weakening the medevacs as well before this fight even started. 3rd medevac's going to go through the center. See if the medevac's sneak into the main base here. He wants to do it again now. This is going to be a lot tougher to pull off than the last game because there's a large amount of Zerglings on the map. Very mobile, but he's going to hit 2 locations at once. Let's see how quickly Solar responds. He wants to hit this one first to force the units over here, then drop in the main base.
Widow mine. Oh, that was so close.
Okay, cancels it though. Will actually hit the Lings, but look at this. This is the bigger issue. He sees it pretty early on. The Queen's already targeted down. He's just going to lift. Back over here, the Marine's actually in a tight spot behind this building Evo Chamber, or Baneling Nest, I believe that's what that actually is.
No, they're dropping the main. Something you guys don't see is all of those Marines, they were over-stimmed. They're in the orange right now, but still in a really good spot.
I mean, Solar is just falling apart here. He actually might lose his spawning pool. And that will be disastrous because he has no other tech to deal with the attack. And I think he's going to lose it potentially here. Okay, he's going to kill a bunch of the wings. Targets it down. Transfuses will save it, but that was a close call.
Yeah, instead of the spawning pool, he's losing 14 drones. He is having so much trouble holding this off. And aLive very close to losing that medevac, but damn man, that's not what I was expecting. I thought Solar was going to hold that off pretty flawlessly, but not quite. 14 drones, a bunch of lost mining time, and a bunch of lings even in the trade, just because of the positioning of the buildings almost. You know, he was trying to split up his lings to deal with that, but the positioning of aLive, he went in there and he saw those buildings, he's like, oh, you created the perfect nest.
You made a wall for me, yeah.
You know, the Zergling grinder, thank you very much. I'll just drop in here. This is very easy for me to set up. And then Solar was like, oh crap, I guess, well, I kind of shot myself in the foot with this building placement.
I mean, you know, basically if you have Marines fight in a position where they fight 1 or 2 lings at once, they could fight Infinity if they just fight them that way. They don't actually have ammo on those Gauss rifles, so they're just going to go forever. Now they're going over here to clear some of this creep, and Queens and Baneling's in position. No Baneling speed, but he should be able to push this back. Good targeting onto these medevacs. The Widowmine shots, though, only one of them kills a Queen. The other one doesn't do too much with the transfuse. And actually the medevac down here, he needs to just target the Banelings with these Marines. He finally does it. It's almost as if he was trying to overload that medevac there.
aLive tried to lift up into the medevacs, and he's like, oh wait, I only have 1 medevac. I can't save the rest of the Marines. He loses a huge chunk. He might even lose this medevac too.
I mean, his supply just plummeted. He lost almost everything he spent into that attack. Way overcommitted to the aggression there. He did a lot of damage. Can't deny that, but not enough to just almost Hail Mary in for the attack. Medevac is basically going to die to 1 shot or maybe 2 of the Queen here, so he won't be able to bring that back in anytime soon. That's just kind of a I hope he goes somewhere else and I get lucky enough to drop these Marines out situation. 10 meters on the way too, so that's going to really put an end to this type of aggression. Won't be able to lift up anymore after that.
Third base here from aLive is obviously much later compared to the build that he did in game number 1. He was allowed to get a very easy 3 bases. But this time, Solar able to hold off. Denying that CC early on in the game was also incredibly important. But only now does he secure the 3rd base, whereas Solar has total map control. He's up 50 supply. And he scouted this. We'll see what Solar wants to do here to try to end this one out.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically aLive has to find a way to turtle, I would say, on these 3 bases to get maxed out or as close as he can to it with the good upgrades he's going to have to take more cost-efficient fights. He's going to need some good Widowmine hits, some perfect splits in the fights. Like, this is a nice move for him, right? This is very lucky, but he gets some value out of this. Actually doesn't finish all of them off, unfortunately, but catching this little small things like this, he's going to have a lot of those to get back to this game. He has the better scaling of upgrades right now. He has the larger, he has the potential to have these army fights where he gets the more efficient trades, even though his army is smaller right now. He needs a turtle to get the larger army, to have this big fight, and try to break the back of Solar afterwards. So he just needs a turtle. Committing to drops like this against the Mutalists, I feel like is not the way back into the game. Because if he loses too many more units, eventually Solar will just crush him with a big Baneling attack. You know, Bling, Muta, Bane, max out at the 3rd base and just crush him, roll him. So he needs to turtle and hang in there, and you know, moving his main base to the 3rd base is unfortunately what you have to do in Legacy of the Void economy, but at least on this map, this is a pretty easy rotation of the main.
Yeah, like that he took that outermost base there, actually, because, you know, not a lot of ranged units from the Zergling, or rather from the Zergs. When they do go for this composition, it's harder to get on into that base. You can always move the main command center over to that other 3rd base location a little bit easier. So, like that play. He does have 3-3 on the way, and he's successfully turtled essentially up until now, and Solar is still on that same kind of composition here with just 1-1 upgrades. He never even went for 2-2. He's about to have +2 Carapace, but doesn't have the attack.
Oh, this is a great position for aLive to fight too. This is what I'm talking about. If he just takes these really good cost-efficient engagements, he can come back into the game. Look at this, Ling's funneling once again. Now he catches a lot of these SCVs, which is huge. He needs to make sure his fights are really cost-efficient, and this is not it. That was really good for the Zerg with the Baneling connections there on creep. GG.
He just gets out of that game. He's too far behind, tried to make it work with one final push, but Solar, the very nice opening build, gets ahead. A little bit of a hiccup there in his defense, but after that he was just okay. So makes things interesting. Finally, we have a 3-game best-of-3 series here tonight. Will be our first one.
That's right. And our third map of this one, we are going into Abyssal Reef. Or no, sorry.
We're going back.
Right? Yeah, it is Overgrowth. Sorry, it was on my paper upside down. Quite literally. So, here we go. This is going to be it. So, for Solar, winning this series means he gets to skip a round of playoffs. Winning the series for aLive means that he will stay in Premier going to Season 2. So, a very important third game that we are going to on Overgrowth. The aggression we've been seeing from aLive going to be much stronger here on this smaller map. Let's go into game number 3, guys, to see who's going to take this best of 3.
Here we go. The final map to decide who will get the positive ending to their story tonight. Solar up in the top right, Zerg player.
And down here to the bottom left is aLive. Looking for his happy ending as well, but not there yet. Really actually like the amount of pressure that aLive is putting on. And had he killed that spawning pool, perhaps the game snowballs so quickly where he just continues to counterattack, and there's this window of time where Solar can't make lings. Only banelings he can have are from the lings he's already made. And that was a terrifying moment there. The transfuses came out just in time. And on this map, if he wants to do something similar, there's not as much room to work with in terms of harassing between third, natural, and main, because you have this space to the top of the map where there's not a lot of dead airspace, so the dropships don't have a lot of room to work with to bounce around the bases. You kind of have to swing between the natural and the main. That's where you can work with if there's not great creep spread. So he can get there really quickly with his drops, but being able to bounce between the bases was a lot easier on Abyssal, a lot easier on Newkirk. So kind of a variation on what he can accomplish in terms of that type of aggression. We'll see if he can hold his CC this time as well, because that was the big issue in the previous set, which is not being able to even start off on even footing in terms of his economy.
Yep, no early pool here from Solar this time around. He should be able to get this CC up and running. The kind of play we see from Innovation on this map, we saw it last time against Biel, where he just goes for the double barracks, gets the stim, and he puts on non-stop pressure onto the third base. And you were talking about bouncing in between the bases. Definitely not the ideal strategy, I think, for harassment on this map. I think you just want to go straight forward, especially because that third base is pretty far away from the main. It's just a straight line. There's no bends, no curves at all. And it's hard for the Zerg to just group up everything over there. And it's not necessarily all that far from the Terran. It's no farther than the natural is when you compare it, and you can put on immense pressure, force out a lot of units instead of drones that the Zerg does not want to make. You can also really stunt the timing of the fourth base of the Zerg, who's desperately just trying to defend for so long, whereas you're just rallying, parade, pushing, and getting a third command center behind it. So definitely like that kind of strategy on this map. We do see that aLive is actually adding in a Hellion and no third barracks, so going to be mixing it up.
I think this is just for a little bit of additional scouting information or creep denial. Solar has actually cut gas mining completely. He has for a long time, so he got enough for the speed upgrade for his Zerglings, and then is just spending the rest of his money, the extra economy he has from the +3 drones, basically to get those additional drones, get the queens.
Ooh. We have an armory on the way.
Uh-oh.
aLive with his reactored Hellions coming out here. Wants to put on really heavy pressure. Nearly all-in pressure.
Yeah, this is Heart of the Swarm aLive, basically, is what we're watching right now. We saw a lot of Hellbat timings, drops from him, all-ins and Heart of the Swarm. It's definitely one of his weaker points in his career. He was very dominant in wings, especially the early part of that. And then, you know, Legacy, really, his aggressive style has taken off. He's even bringing a Liberator, so he's just going to really commit to this big timing push. See if he attacks the natural or the third base. See, the third base is a little bit further away. Already going to start harassing a little bit here with the Hellions at the front. Solar doesn't have any scout of this. Oh, well, now he knows. First, to just transform right in front of the Overlord.
I mean, Solar is up to 46 drones.
2 Zerglings. Only Queens for the defense. He had a lot of extra money because he pulled out of gas. Will he have enough to defend here? The Hellbats are not being healed by the medevac because the Queens are zoning. Now it comes in for the heal, but does get taken out.
Gets taken out with the Liberator follow-up. That will be the last medevac, but still, lots of really weak Queens. He wants to get on into them, takes out one.
He's hitting this before there's transfuse energy available to transfuse these. Another grenade comes out. One more transfuse will come in here.
Yeah, just barely enough at that timing. Will finally get all the energy just in time, but still so many Hellbats on the front door of Solar. Not going to be the easy hold he wanted. A follow-up of Cloak Banshees, by the way, on the way from aLive, so he's not done yet. Here comes the Liberator in the main.
No Queens here. I think I just swallowed a fly, no joke. But no Queens here in the main base, obviously. With the Cleans, he's eliminated here. There's not going to be much anti-air for the Banshee either.
No mining in the main.
Just pure Queens for the defense is what Solar said in his 10 questions answers. He loves the Queen. So useful, so much utility. But it may not be enough to save him here. He's making 3 more. 2 just popped out. This one's here. He needs to find the right angle to hit this Liberator. But there's no mining in the main base. No mining in the natural. Oh, he's going to lose so many of these drones. The Queen has to hide behind the hatchery as these Hellbats waddle around.
He's down to 2 Queens. Not mining in the main, not mining in the natural, as you said. And there's a huge follow-up from aLive. He's totally transitioning. Double engineering bay. He'll have more harassment on the way, as you said, with the Banshees. Stim finally starts. A 3rd CC. Really liking aLive's position here.
I mean, how many Queens is he going to have? He's going to 3 more pop out. This one already takes a shot, which means the Banshee can come and kill it. They can deny mining in the main base. Kills the Larva, too. Okay, he's just going to hit the 3rd base here. Just ignore the Queen.
Spore's too late.
Yep, he's not going to have detection. Oh, this is just GG.
That's going to be it. What a build from aLive to take him out. He will secure 5th place. Will not have to pay in the fast lane. Whereas Solar, on the other hand, will be relegated down to 3rd place and will be forced to play an extra playoff match. So there was a lot on the line for that match, and aLive will win the best of 3 up against Solar, a very strong Zerg.
It just feels like aLive came into this best of 3 way more prepared than Solar did. Showed unique openings. First 2 games fairly similar, but the 3rd game was really, really well played, well executed by aLive. Saw the hole in Solar's build, saw him just going straight Queens. The Queens, you know, were stacked up there. The Hellbats a lot of extra splash damage. He didn't have enough room or time to split. He was playing insanely greedy, making only Queens and drones with the drone pull out of the gas. And he had 2 Zerglings when the attack hit. That's it.
He just had no idea. There was no scouting. There was no safety overlord speed. He just had no idea. And as you said, he went for just about as greedy as you can get with only 2 lings. And it really paid off for aLive in dividends at the end because of that build. Really just able to squash out the bug of Zerg this time. So aLive will take that. Will take home $700, whereas Solar will get the $300. And we are going to go into our final game of the night. Will be Zest versus Dark.
Oh, it's going to be after a very, very short break, guys. Maybe about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. We'll see you guys in just a few for our last match of the evening.